this is a new template that I've been working on, and what we hope to be able to do is make it simpler when we're building our SketchUp drawings, especially if we're doing the whole kitchen and we're doing it from scratch. So each side has, they're essentially duplicates, but pulled in the common things that I've been using and also made it to where it has scenes to be able to show you a little easier, so that it helps the building process to be a lot simpler. So you can see this is just the left side glide outs with a blind corner. We've got a stove top, a stove, dishwasher. What I did do a little differently is in a lot of the upper cabinets that we've been using, when you pull them in from the existing templates, or if you pull it in from some of our cabinet components, oftentimes they are not sized accordingly to what you would typically see in a kitchen. So there's two types of cabinet depths on the upper cabinets normally that we see. One is refrigerator depth, which is comparable to what we have with a double oven, and then others that are more along the 12-inch or 300 millimeter depth that we have, and that's what all of these cabinets are built to. So if I zoom in also too, one of the things I did is just built it so that we can have some common type solutions. So this is going to be a great solution that you have there too. What's nice about this is even though it's added into the cabinet, it's now part of the cabinet, so that if you were to take this component, for example, and select it and rotate it, so we'll bring it up here to show you that, it's part of a group, so you're going to have to right click on it and edit the group. Now when you click on it, it's going to bring up what you're normally used to seeing, which is a smart cabinet that you can adjust. But here's where you can come in and now change the cabinet rotation. If I want it to be 90 degrees and hit enter, it's obviously going to rotate, and it would do that in the past. The problem in the past though is when you did that, the components inside, when I look at it, they would not rotate with it. So those components, if you don't make it part of the smart cabinet, are going to stay fixed in the original position. So let me undo what I just did and get back to where we were. And close the group. We're going to look at the left side again. So that's what I did here. I also did it on this one, gave us another option with the tray divider that we can go in and we can modify and stuff as well. So that'll rotate with the cabinet too. I zoom back out, you've got your bank of drawers. Here you've got your trash bin. These are just common ones that are in there already. Another one, let's pan over. I zoom in here, is the Lazy Susan in the upper cabinet. This one was sized way off compared to what you'd normally see in a given kitchen, so I sized that accordingly so that it fits here. So you can see the same depth and stuff that we have with these existing wall cabinets. Let me zoom back out. If I continue to slide down too, you'll see some other things that we have here. I did this one as well, where we've attached the door to a tray bin. That's a common solution that we would recommend. You can certainly come back and delete that top drawer there too. Then we have 3 drawers underneath the sink, an option here where you've got the riser on one side, and then what I did on this one is created an option for us to be able to have a trash bin. So that's a common request that we'll do, is we'll put a trash bin here. We put an adjustable divider there that allows some flexibility in how we do that design. Then this was in one of the I think the existing templates that was sent out, where you had the riser on one side, you had a double or make it a single, whatever, on the other side, but then we added a riser in it. And like what was done above the refrigerator with a deeper wall cabinet, is I incorporated this independent riser to be part of the glide out cabinet, part of the smart cabinet. So if I rotate this, that independent riser is going to rotate with it. You don't have to worry about trying to add it in whenever you rotate it and put it in place. So that's the same thing there. If I zoom back out, you'll see. And then if I rotate over to the right side glide outs here, you're going to see the exact same thing. I do want to zoom in just to show you one thing as well. With the mixer that was there, the only downside about it wasn't attached to the cabinet. It wasn't affixed in there. So I did change that so that it is actually attached inside there. I think that gives a clear image for clients. If you take this smart cabinet now and you change it from a left side or the right side opening, the mixer will stay in there as well. So that's another good feature I think that will help us. And then to begin the building process, I've got coded as a left wall and then a right wall, and that just makes it easier when we're starting and we're trying to see what we're doing here too. So if I go back out to the full designer view, you can see all that we have. Also too, in the middle is just a glide around, so I made it to where the walls were not transparent, so that way you could put it in there too so it matched the cabinets. But certainly if you want to make it transparent, you can do that. Also, there is a smart pantry on both sides so that you can easily manipulate that how you need to. And then one thing you'll probably see that's it looks messy, but it's it's very easy to clean up. But you'll see all of these dotted lines across through here. These are guidelines, and the guidelines really is how we should have set up the original template, because what guidelines allow us to do is to clean it up at the end. Because if I go in here and select edit, and it's thinking here for just a moment, but if I go select edit in a moment, there's an option that allows you, change over here, to delete the guides. Once I delete the guides, they're all going to disappear. But you need the guides for a lot of different things, from drawing purposes to aligning things. So I'm going to undo that and show all the guidelines back again. So for example, we used to have a solid line down through there, and if you ever looked at the floor components and looked at the template, the wall, it was an upper wall and a lower wall, which was fine with how we were using it, because we were aligning these glide outs, excuse me, the cabinets with this line, so that way it would be easier to line up, which we needed that. But it's easier if we use it with a guideline, for example. So because the nice thing about doing it with a guideline is we can delete that and make it go away, but the even better benefit is how we can do doorways, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So the other guidelines, if we look over here, this is the guideline for a typical 32-inch cabinet that how it's located above the floor. This is the guideline that we use for the base cabinets. This is the guideline that is used for the bottom of an upper wall cabinet. So all of these cabinets that are over here, all of these, for example, fit in between the dotted lines here, because the top lines up with this top edge, the bottom lines up with this bottom edge. So if you're wanting to draw this there, if you happen to have some glide outs or some upper cabinets where glide outs are going to be in place, then that makes it a ton easier, because before you had to go through and slide it and move it around, so it was not very user friendly. This makes it a lot easier to do, and I think it makes it certainly more efficient in the process too. So doorways. Now, if you wanted to do a doorway in the old floor template where you had an upper wall and a lower wall, you'd have to do a partial opening in the upper and then a partial opening in the lower and marry those up. What this is, and what we've done here, is just to try to show you a simple way to do a doorway. So this represents a typical 36-inch opening, a 7-foot door. If you want to put that doorway somewhere here too, it's real easy to do that, especially if you're building out in this corner and you've got an opening and you just want to be able to give a little bit more context to that. So it's something real easy to do. With where that doorway is, all I have to do is select my model, select this wall. You'll see the whole wall's in the highlight blue, the whole model is in the floor. I'm going to right click on it and edit the component. And so now I'm going to click on this wall, and you'll see that it'll select this wall here. And if I want to select this door, for example, or this mock opening for a door, what I could do is hit my M button, and I'm going to move it, and I'll just pick somewhere and just slide it down to here. So that gets it if that's where I wanted it to. But the nice thing is, if you use your push-pull tool, and we don't use that a whole lot with our SketchUp modeling, but if you hit down P, if you've got your shortcuts, this will pop up here, and so I can select in the corner or anywhere in the middle of the body. And if I just take it and push it out or pull it in, you can see it extrudes or takes away. So I'm going to push it back. It says it's Right now it's on the edge, so it's limited by whatever's there. So if you click on it, that whole opening is going to disappear. So now I have an opening through there. Okay, so that's one way to be able to do that. I'm going to undo that, but that allows us easy ways to go about putting a doorway in place. Some other guidelines that I wanted to show you is, let's do the refrigerator, for example. Let's do the stove, for example, because this is probably one of the tools that are one of the components that we use quite frequently. One of my, just a little detail that just kind of annoys me when you're doing it, if you go to select the tool down here, there was no crisp corner in which to be able to mount these. So if I look, what I've got is the guideline from here and the guideline from there. And let me see if I can see it better on this side. Yeah, so there's the guidelines where they interact. So that interaction there is what we would butt up against the countertop on this one. So I'm going to pick this guideline here, and I'm going to go to the right wall. It's going to come over here, and then I can select, get a little bit closer, I can select it on that line. So now that lines up. But the problem has been in the past too, and so what's nice about the stove is it now has these vertical guidelines. So a lot of times you have a microwave that's right above it in that cabinet with it. So let me go back out to the left side glide outs. We're going to select the microwave in the cabinet. Let me slide over. Oops. Oh, it's still thinking. Slide over here. And I'm going to select the microwave, and then I'm going to add the cabinet above it, and hit my move tool, and I'm going to select this corner and go back to the right wall and let's zoom in close here. And now I've got the guidelines from the stove and the guidelines that were already on the wall, and that's where I'm going to line it up. The other thing I also did was I made this cabinet and this microwave the exact same size as the stove below it, so that way it always lines up there too. And so now I'm going to go back to my left side glide outs, and if we want to, for example, if one of these, we'll just pick one of these cabinets here, let's go on beside it. You remember, just like in the other templates, you want to start from the left side and work out. I'm going to move this one, click on it, go to the right wall. It's going to bring me back where I want to build, so I can zoom in a little closer and click on that there. So that's going to give me the right height when I go in and put a cabinet below it. So let's do that. We'll say it's just a bank of drawers, so let me select this. And you really want to zoom in so you can see where the connection point you're getting. And I'm going to go to the right wall again, bring me right back over here. Then I can just, you want to zoom in on this one. So I'm now trying to hit this guideline and this guideline, the intersection of them. So let's see if I can do that. There we go. That's the intersection. So now let me zoom back out on the right wall. You can see we're starting to build that, so it's very quick to be able to add those in, and you can kind of see there. But what I really want to do is show you, just to get familiar with this particular template that we're using. So it gives a lot of flexibility in what we're doing. The other piece, I'll show you one more thing that I forgot I changed as well, but this is one too that I think makes a difference for you. If you noticed before, you may not have noticed this, but when you go to get the appropriate height for the tops of these cabinets, this double oven was never tall enough. So we expanded it to make it taller so that it's even and flush with the top height there. So I'm going to select it and zoom in pretty close here. So again, we're going to move it. Select my M shortcut. I'm going to go back to the right wall, and we're going to slide up here and put it Oops. Right beside it. And so you can see, there we are. So we've got that, oops, right wall. So now it's at the same height, and it's real simple to do. So you can just easily manipulate this now. It's the right depth too, as far as what you would typically see in an oven cabinet. Actually, I may have pushed that. No, that's right. Yeah, so that's what you'd have there. So let me slide back, go to the left side glide outs. But I think that covers most of the changes there. So what we want to be able to do is make these quicker. So when you're done, what we would do is we would delete everything we didn't use, and then we'd go in here under Edit and delete guides, and all that stuff goes away. And so it's a very clean look. It's easy to show the client. Then if we want to, we can go in and create new views that will help us, especially if you plan on using SketchUp layout for the final presentation. If not, that's fine too, but this is certainly a quick way to go about doing that.